Alright, I'm in my new kitchen here. I'm going to teach you how to cook a really, really good ramen. What you're going to need a brick of ramen, the flavoring from the ramen, a can of Italian wedding soup, soy sauce, sriracha, a pot, a hot pad, measuring glass, a spoon and fork, and a ladle. Let's go. Alright, first things first, we got to make the broth. So, in this measuring cup, I added the contents of the ramen packet, along with a tablespoon of hot sauce and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That is what it looks like. It looks gross, but it'll make the broth real good. Next thing I did is I added in all of the broth from this can of soup into the mixing bowl, and now now we have the base for half of the broth, but that is much too strong, so we'll have to dilute it with water. But for now, I'll just pour that into the pot, and yeah, a lot of the chicken broth didn't quite dissolve, so the next step is to add a cup of water back into the measuring cup, because all of the chicken flavoring will remain in the bottom of it, so you're gonna get this nice yellow watery component to the broth. Let me just go ahead and add that in. And that'll be the basis for the broth. That is the broth. So now I put the 2 cups of broth, covered it, put it on the stove, and now we're just going to set it to 5-ish and let it sit there and wait for it to boil. I'm waiting for that to cook. I broke up the brick of ramen into 4 pieces. You could just whatever kind of ramen that you used, break it up into 4 pieces. I use top ramen because I'm poor, and it's also a meme. So yeah, 4 pieces, and make sure you save the little chunks at the bottom there, because those will make for some more noodles at the end. And it is, I added all of the vegetables from the can of soup into the bowl with the pieces of ramen. That way, when the pot starts to boil, we can put all this in there to cook. And as the broth starts boiling, you're going to want to take it off of the heat. As soon as it starts to get to a real nice rolling boil, as it is right now, you want to turn off the heat, and then you're going to add that stuff in. Once you've added that stuff in, you're going to want to start stirring it around and turn the heat back up to about 4-ish. Make sure your pot obviously doesn't boil over, but just keep it at a nice sizzling boil for 3 minutes on unless you want it al dente or molto al dente. You'll know when the pasta is nearing completion even if you don't keep a timer, because the chunks, like that one right there, will begin to break apart. But if they haven't, and the stirring process will help them to break apart, and it'll also help the broth and the pasta to cook thoroughly. It's almost ready. You're going to want to turn down the setting on here down to 2, and just let it simmer for maybe about a minute, just to let it cool off a little bit. Once it's bubbled and hissed at you for a little while, go ahead and turn off the burner and allow it to completely come off the boil and cool down for a few minutes before you go on to the draining phase. When it has stopped boiling, I'm going to put the top back on it and drain out about a 1/4 cup of it into my sink of the broth. After draining, put it on a hot pad, and just look at that ramen. It looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Nice red broth from the sriracha and the soy. Now, you don't have to drain it. I just prefer to do so to get a little bit of the broth gone, but you could drain more if you wanted to. You could drain less if you wanted to. It's really up to you as far as what kind of ramen you want, whether you want one that's a little bit more brothy, or like me, it's much more noodly. Then just serve it up into a bowl, or however many people you have. I'm just cooking it for myself because I'm lonely as hell, so I'm just going to serve it up for myself. Alright, and that's it. You have your perfect ramen done up. I would recommend that you serve it with a fork and a spoon. That way it's easy for whoever's eating it to eat it better. And I would always recommend serving it with some green tea. Cold, so that way it counterbalances the hotness of the ramen. Let it cool off first. Seriously, shit gets hot.